Hey guys, it's me. Welcome to my channel. And today we're going to talk about how to target fat loss. So when you are trying to lose weight, there are different ways to do it. You can just reduce your calories overall in your diet. That will work. It's not the best way because then you tend to lose both muscle and fat. So if you want to be more efficient and you have the ability to lift weights or resistance train, then what I would recommend doing is targeting the weight loss. So this means that you're specifically getting rid of fat, but keeping as much muscle as possible. And ideally, you'd also increase some lean mass along the way, which is pretty easy to do. Okay, so let's go over the basic principle first. There's two hormones that primarily control your body composition, your body fat percentage, and they are insulin and growth hormone. So let's take a look at each one. With insulin, we don't want high levels of insulin because that will make us fat. That will store more fat around our liver, it'll turn food into fat, and it will also reduce our growth hormone. So you want to keep insulin low. Now we can do that by reducing carbohydrates. So if we eat fewer carbs, that lowers insulin. Okay? Second thing we can do is just eat less frequently. The more frequent you eat, especially with carbs, the higher your insulin will stay. So if you just skip breakfast and do intermittent fasting or just eat 2 meals a day, you're going to drop your insulin. Also, if you lower your stress, that can help lower insulin as well. Some people have high levels of insulin naturally. They're insulin resistant. We know that that's because they have a problem with their diet, but that's because they have too much sugar, too many carbs. But also another reason could be because they have a problem with their adrenals. If you have chronically high cortisol, because your adrenals are kind of stuck in this fight or flight mode, that can also make you resistant to insulin. Another thing that will raise insulin is eating too often, like snacking. So if you don't eat snacks, and you just stick to 3 meals a day, that can help drop your insulin. Also, another big one is fructose, high fructose corn syrup, and other sweeteners like that, so you definitely want to avoid those. Now, what about growth hormone? This is a fat-burning hormone, so we want to maximize this. And what increases growth hormone? Exercise. Now, the type of exercise that really skyrockets growth hormone is resistance training. That is the #1 way to increase growth hormone. Okay? Just lifting weights, doing any type of resistance training. The other thing that will spike growth hormone is deep, slow breathing. So if you're doing something called a breathing wave, or you're breathing through your diaphragm down into your stomach, that will increase growth hormone. Another thing that will increase growth hormone is cold therapy. Taking a cold shower every morning, going in a cold plunge. That will spike your growth hormone. Another thing that can spike growth hormone is being in a sauna. So there are different things that you can do to spike growth hormone. Fasting will also spike growth hormone, and then getting enough quality sleep will help you burn fat. You might have heard the term growth hormone releasing hormone, GHRH. That's another thing that will increase growth hormone. And there are certain herbs that can mimic this hormone, like certain adaptogens, certain amino acids, even some fatty acids. But the key thing is exercise. You really need to do some type of resistance training to build up your muscle strength, and this is a good thing. You want to build muscle, because muscle mass helps you burn fat at rest. So building muscle is a great way to speed up your metabolism. And if you have injuries or inflammation, that can actually slow down your metabolism. So you really want to take care of your body, exercise, build up your muscles. Another important point about insulin is that it usually takes about 24 hours for it to be out of your system completely. So the effects of insulin can hang around for a long time. It's not like right after you eat a meal, an hour later it's all over. No, it can take 24 hours. So that's why it's a good idea to try to implement the ketogenic lifestyle. I always say the best time to start keto is the day after you finish a bagel. So if you've been eating high carb for a while, well, the damage is already done. But now, starting tomorrow, you can start eating low carb and you'll start lowering that insulin level. Now, another point about growth hormone is it has a half-life of about 20 minutes. So you can exercise for a few minutes, resistance train, and then that hormone can be elevated for quite a while. One last thing about insulin is that the average person has about 12 to 14 pounds of glycogen in their muscles and liver. And when you eat carbs, it takes about 8 ounces of water to carry 1 ounce of glycogen. So if you add all that up, if you're 200 pounds and you have, let's say, 12 pounds of glycogen, you're going to retain a lot of water weight. Maybe you're bloated. Why? Because your body is carrying all this extra fluid because it's trying to hold on to that glycogen. So when you switch to low carb, guess what? You're going to drop a bunch of weight almost immediately. That's your glycogen stores filling up with water weight. So the scale goes down. Your clothes fit better. You feel better. Okay, next thing is you want to do resistance training, like I said, because that helps increase growth hormone. It helps build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat at rest. So that's very important. Next thing is you want to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. If you're a little bit older, maybe 7 to 8 hours of sleep is not enough. You might need 9 or 9 and 2 hours. So this is why it's important to get good quality sleep. The REM sleep is very, very important. Now you may ask, how do I know if I'm getting good quality sleep? Well, one way is to see how alert you are during the day. Are you having to use caffeine to stay awake? Or do you find yourself falling asleep all the time? A simple test is to see if you can actually do push-ups. If you can't do any push-ups, chances are you didn't sleep that great last night. So you should try to get more sleep. All right? Next thing is you want to lower your stress. You can do this by doing breathing exercises. The breathing wave is one of the best. That's where you breathe in and breathe out. And when you breathe out, you kind of push your stomach out like you're breathing into your stomach. So it's kind of expanding your diaphragm and your stomach at the same time. Another thing you can do to lower stress is meditation and prayer. Another thing that can really, really help you is taking a walk outside. Just getting fresh air, sunshine in your face, looking at trees and grass can help lower stress. Next thing is to avoid trans fats, margarine, canola oil, soy oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, things like that. Those are inflammatory and they will raise cortisol. So those are probably the biggest triggers for insulin resistance. Also, eating a lot of seed oils raises a hormone called leptin. Leptin tells us we're full. So if you're eating these highly palatable foods, like when I say highly palatable, they taste good, they're usually processed, they're usually high in carbs and fats and seed oils. These foods spike leptin, and leptin does a lot of things, but one of the things it does is it makes us fat. So if you eat these highly palatable foods, leptin goes up, you become more fat. All right, so there's a lot of different things that affect your ability to lose weight, to lose fat. And the main goal is to lower insulin and raise growth hormone. Now, if you haven't seen this video on the breathing wave, I put that up right here. Check it out.